Hello and welcome to my not so new but my YouTube channel. My name is now under New Moon Botanicals, and that's my website, and my social accounts are all under the same name, New Moon Botanicals. Since my last video, I have changed I think my name twice, but I think this is it. So this video is about St Johns Wort. St Johns Wort, it's one of the most well-known herb around. There's so much studies and so much research done about this herb, and it's one of these herbs that are well recognized and even well recognized by GPs and pharmacists. So if you ask anyone, everyone knows St Johns Wort. There are about 45,000 hits on when you look Google Scholar about in vitro, in vivo studies, books, medical anecdotes and case histories, and yeah, this herb has been very well studied. There's lots of things published around about how does it work and everything else, so it's really good. So St Johns Wort, Hypericum, perforatum from Latin, it means overcoming an apparition. That's what Hypericum means, and it was associated with the belief that he was warding off evil and protecting from evil. So for that reason was hung on the doors and on the windows, and he was also burned in a Midsummer Eve in the bonfire. And this practice is still actually alive in Poland, by the way, which I'm very happy about it. But no, I didn't burn any any of that this year because I'm in England, and yeah, so this herb was used for that reason, and when you look at the history of psychiatric disorders and the mental illness, it was used to believe that was caused by evil spirits, and St Johns Wort was used for that. So when the patient got well, suddenly they believed that evil spirits left the body, and the belief of the protective kind of abilities of St Johns Wort was continued. So yeah, pretty amazing herb. And I know you can't tell much from how does it look like in reality, because my one wilted a bit. So it has oblong leaves and 5 petals. The flowers consist of 5 petals, and it's very easily distinguishable from other herbs. The Chinese one was actually recently found to extend the neurites and heal neurons in the body. So it's very similar to what St Johns Wort does. So how the ancients used St Johns Wort? St Johns Wort was mainly used for bacterial diseases, shingles, and also for abdominal pains, ulcers and burns. And also it was used in a way to elevate the spirit, to help people who suffer from melancholy and sadness. So that's how St Johns Wort was used. My actually teacher believed that St Johns Wort in a spiritual way will awake you from your current dream state, wherever it's good or bad. So I'm not sure why he wrote that in his notes, but that's what he was used to saying about the spiritual side of St Johns Wort. When you look at the St Johns Wort from the traditional point of view, which is very important because we take all the information back for the ancients and transferring to our current use of St Johns Wort, it's very similar. We use mainly in the nervous system disorders St Johns Wort, such as neuralgia, and neuralgia associated with hot and red shooting pains across the body, and also sciatica, any spinal injuries, for example, and shingles. You can use it both internally and externally. And also we use, what the main point of St Johns Wort video is, we use for mild to moderate depression, and also for anxiety, people who are overexcited, who suffer from insomnia or chronic fatigue. Also, it's very good for menopausal hot flashes, painful periods, and it's very good actually digestive tonic. Matthew would describe as a very good oily and sweet in the quality of St Johns Wort, which actually improves your metabolism, improves your digestion, and helps with people who has low stomach acid, and helps also liver to process complex toxins. That's how he described in his book. St Johns Wort is in essence really good for the nervous system, supporting nervous system, supporting digestion. It is really good also for bedwetting. It's both diuretic and astringent action. So anything with dysentery, hemorrhoids, hemoptysis, and hemorrhages, it's really good for that. So usually St Johns Wort is collected during the Midsummer Eve. Basically because the components of the St Johns Wort are in their peak and should be collected on a dry and hot day. So you collect the aerial parts and then you process it either as a tea or tincture. So usually you would take around 2 to 5 grams of dry tea a day, and with tincture you would do 1 in 2 extract, or 1 in 1, 3 to 6 ml, and then 1 in 5, 7 to 15 ml a day. So no more than that. And then if you would like to use it, for example, to help improve your symptoms of depression, then you would take it for around 4 weeks minimum. If you wanted to have more antiviral action, then more than 4 weeks, and slightly bigger dosages. Okay, so this is the liquid I got from my supplier, and that's because I've been concentrating on making St Johns Wort oil for all these years. This is my oil. It's bright red. I'm not sure if you can see on the camera, but I love this stuff. I use it all the time in my preparations, skin preparations, so it's really good. I've already done this video 3 times, so I'm gonna pour it again and show you how the liquid look like. You should not be concerning yourself with the color when you make a tincture. I mean, obviously if it's some odd color, then yes, but if the color is like anything ranges from bright, low orange, brown, that's the exact color that you would get. I mean, the herb qualities and varies with batches to batches, so sometimes if you make a tincture and you make it next year, it might not look the same. So this is you can see the liquid, dark brown, dark orange, so it's quite good. Slightly fruity. It's quite good. I like it. I like St Johns Wort. And yeah, so, and the oil, sun method. I've done this video previously on my YouTube, how to make this oil, so I'm not gonna go into details about that, okay? So let's get back to the the collection. So you would collect that, make into tea or tincture, and one of the things that's very important to know is that the compounds of the St Johns Wort are located in the oil glands underneath the leaf and in the flowers. So collectively, all the compounds in St Johns Wort are called naphthodiatrans. So it includes mainly hypericin, pseudo-hypericin, and then hyperforin. So these compounds range with different variation in the dry matter, and are very sensitive to oxidation. So you should store it into away from direct sunlight to dry it, and also in cool and dark place. The range usually of hypericin is apparently 0.3% and hyperforin 2 to 4% in preparation. So and they are very important because they have all the properties that you want actually in that are responsible for all the medicinal action. So, and the extractability of these compounds actually it's very low, but around 40%, and in 60 and 80 degrees of hot water. And also it's very good extracted in a high alcohol percentage. Can't tell you off my head, but I think you can make it 45%, and also in oil, so it's really good. Okay, Okay, so let's talk about the main constituents. I think it's a very important subject, so I know it's going to be boring, pharmacokinetics and stuff like that, and pharmacology, but it's very important to know what you're taking, basically. And one of the main compounds, I'm going to talk about hypericin. Hypericin, it has been found in numerous in vitro and in vivo studies that has antiviral action, and particularly antiviral action against enveloped viruses such as HIV, influenza, chickenpox, and also herpes simplex. So I'm not going to suggest for you to stop your medication and start taking St Johns Wort. No, this is just the study results from in vitro and vivo studies. So that has been found about that. So I've never prescribed anything like that for anyone with this type of conditions. So it's just talking about antiviral action of this herb. So and how does it work? Well, basically there's few theories how does it work. No one knows for sure, but apparently most enveloped viruses have a glycoprotein sheet that surrounds them. And what hypericin does, it cross-links that actually layer, that shell, and interferes with the viral genetic material, so it can reproduce, it can process things, and also distorts the signaling pathway of the viruses, so they can communicate with each other. So that's one of the proposed theories, and some of them suggest also that causes a production of reactive oxygen singlet species, which destroy the virus, and this actually technique with application of light has been used to treat tumors in some countries. That was in one of the recent papers. So so in short, hypericin is really good for kind of things like that. I've used personally for Bell's palsy externally as a recovery aid in this case, and it worked very well. But it wasn't only St Johns Wort, there was also lots of other herbs internally and externally. Okay, so the hypericin has hydrophilic and hydrophobic sites. It can easily enter the cell membranes, the lipid layer of the cell, and start working through those. So it's also crosses the blood-brain barrier, so it's a very effective herb for enveloped viruses only. And then we have also hyperformin. So hyperformin is very important constituent of St Johns Wort, particularly because it is believed that its action against has antidepressant action basically. So that's the main compound that works for depression. And lots of studies have found that hyperforin actually inhibits the reuptake and absorption of neurotransmitters. So neurotransmitters like, for example, dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, and gamma aminobutyric acid, and also L-glutamate. And I have a chart actually for that, so if you are a visual learner like me, so there you go, that's for you. Yeah, so you can see here that in the synaptic cleft of the neurons, you have basically all your neurotransmitters, and they are blocked by St Johns Wort, hyperformin mainly, and which causes actually massive influx in your body. If they can't be absorbed again into your body, then they are more available and circulating. So, and because lots of people believe that depression is caused by not enough of these neurotransmitters circulation in the body, then that's what actually it is. So it's a kind of very complex the way St Johns Wort works. Of St Johns Wort is comparable to selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. It works the same way. It works the same way as Prozac and sertraline. So yes, there is lots of the way hyperforin and its compounds interacts with the brain neurons and receptors. So if you want to really have a look at it, I would suggest to have a read about it. And for that reason, I think St Johns Wort is one of the most well-known herb used for mild to moderate depression. It's not useful in cases of severe depression or maniac depressive disorders. It actually can potentiate these disorders, makes it worse. So people should not really take St Johns Wort unless they consult their physician or pharmacist or herbalist. If you take higher dosage of St Johns Wort, so you might experience some mild gastrointestinal disturbance. You might also experience confusion, tiredness, dry mouth, and headache. So that's the typical symptoms when you take too much of this herb. It also can cause photosensitivity of your skin. So if you're planning to go tanning, you're going abroad to the sun destinations, so you make sure you're not going to take St Johns Wort, because it actually makes increases the chance of photosensitivity into your skin, and that might be unpleasant. So if you are taking medications, again, I mean, St Johns Wort has a list of drugs that you can take, medications that you can take while you if you want to take St Johns Wort. So it interferes with anticoagulants, it interferes with people who are taking, for example, antiviral medications. It interferes with people who are diabetic and who are having organ transplant. So there is a whole list of things that interferes with. And just check before, if you are on medication, check before if you can take St Johns Wort, or consult your GP or herbalist or pharmacist, because usually there is a list available exactly like what interferes, and you can have a look at it. And also, what is very important to remember is it shouldn't be taken by children. I think the minimum age is 12, and it shouldn't be taken by breastfeeding women. So if you suffer from postnatal depression, it's not the herb that would be suggested for you, mainly because it can cause adverse reaction to the baby. The compounds from St Johns Wort, they do get excreted in breast milk, even in low quantities, but they still are. So, and because there haven't been enough research done about this, they don't recommend for breastfeeding women or pregnant women. So that's one of these herbs. And how does St Johns Wort interferes? It actually is kind of, I was mesmerized by this. The main site for drug metabolism is liver, right? So liver processes, metabolize and excretes drugs from your body. How does the St Johns Wort works? It actually affects the cytochrome, the main site of drug metabolism and oxidation and excretion, the cytochrome P450. And this cytochrome has lots of other receptors, right? So, which each correspond to different drugs. And St Johns Wort affects mainly all of those sites, nearly all of those sites. So, it's such a natural substance, and it just interferes with everything, which means that if you take a drug like contraceptive pill, let's say, if you take that and if they take St Johns Wort, it will not work as well as it without St Johns Wort. It means that the drug will be quicker metabolized from your body and quicker excreted from your body, so you will fall pregnant basically if you have unprotected sex. And basically that's how St Johns Wort works. It speeds up the process of metabolism of the drugs and excretion, so they are not readily available in your body. So actually with St Johns Wort, if you think about it. And for that reason, I recommend just go and ask a question. People who are trained, who know this stuff, who have some kind of knowledge about it. I think that's pretty it. I hope I didn't bore you too much, with the story of St Johns Wort, and it's very important to know the traditional history and the modern research of St Johns Wort. There are maybe even more and more information coming now, more studies about St Johns Wort. The recent one I would like I said at the beginning, was about it causes the regeneration of neural dendrites and neurons, which is something amazing actually, and that was the Chinese St Johns Wort. So yeah, so if you have any questions or anything, just can see my website and my social media accounts links, and you can always can connect to me, and so yeah, so you can ask anything, any questions, and hopefully I will be able to respond soon. So thank you so much for watching.